Hey people, how are you doing this evening? Hope you guys are well. My name is Michaela Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon. I'm live on my IG, will repost to my YouTube. In case you guys are unfamiliar with me, I do a bunch of things. But right now, I want to have a talk about some history and culture. Hey. So I'm gonna skip this intro, but lately I've been seeing, I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm just gonna say that I feel like this younger generation, and when I say younger generation, I mean people in their 20s, teenagers, I don't know what, younger generation, right? A lot of them, not only are they disrespectful, but a lot of them are fucking stupid, okay? Like, they don't research shit, they don't read and look at facts. And it's crazy, okay? Because I'm seeing this whole debate. I'm like actually shocked, okay? At all this hate that I see that is being thrown at Fat Joe. And I saw it like some months ago where I was online and there was a bunch of people mad saying that Latinos didn't play a role in hip-hop, and everybody was mad saying that's ridiculous that Fat Joe would say that Latinos played a role in hip-hop. And I had to make it very clear, okay? Let's be very clear. I would not say that Latinos played a role in the development of hip-hop. It was specifically Nuyoricans, okay? Nuyoricans are New York Puerto Ricans. A specific breed. Not Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico, not Puerto Ricans in Cali, not Puerto Ricans in Florida. No, Puerto Ricans in New York. Nuyoricans, okay? Were involved in hip-hop from the very beginning. And I know hip-hop has been around for so long. A lot of the founders are probably in their 60s now, right? So you have this younger generation who is so far removed, because hip-hop was around before I was born, right? But the fact that there's so many documentaries and books and things that have documented this history. And I'm looking just now, like, I saw this a couple of months ago, but just now I'm online and I see all these people calling Fat Joe a culture vulture and talking about how it's ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, he's a culture vulture. He was trying to say that Latinos were involved in hip hop. Get out of here. And it's like, you guys can't be that fucking stupid. First of all, not only am I from New York, I'm from Uptown, okay, which is the birthplace of hip-hop. And salsa music, okay, which actually were invented at the same time in the 70s, okay? So I'm from Harlem, the border of Harlem, Washington Heights, right across in the South Bronx. I can see Yankee Stadium, which is in the South Bronx. I can hear the games. I could damn near, touch Yankee Stadium from where I'm from in Sugar Hill, which is the border of the Bronx in Washington Heights. There's a very long history uptown, okay? Not just New York City, not in Brooklyn, not in Queens. Uptown, okay? Uptown, in case you don't know New York, that's the Bronx and it's Upper Manhattan. So Upper Manhattan is Harlem, Washington Heights, Dyckman. That's uptown, right? But Black Americans and Puerto Ricans are creating in the Bronx and Harlem, okay? Because once you get into the Heights, it's more Dominican. But Blacks and Puerto Ricans in particular, not Dominicans, okay, have been creating together since like the 50s, okay? First, it was Latin jazz, where you had Afro-American jazz greats collaborating with Afro-Puerto Rican musicians and some Cuban ones, okay? And then out of Latin jazz, you had Boogaloo. And Boogaloo, that song, I Like It Like that Cardi B did, I Like It Like That, that's a Boogaloo song, okay? Boogaloo came from, again, Puerto Ricans and Afro-Americans. It was like a Puerto Rican soul that was kind of imitating Afro-American soul, but with a Puerto Rican spin to it. There was a whole era of Boogaloo that was probably like in the 60s, okay? Then in the 70s, you had salsa. That was the heyday of salsa, salsa dura, okay? Now, people who follow me, they see me dance salsa all the time. And I also dance merengue. I mean, I grew up around Dominicans too. Dominicans about the merengue and the bachata. Being from Uptown, the salsa music was what it is. My dad's a conga player. You know what I'm saying? So that whole Afro-Latin, particularly Puerto Rican and Dominican has been a huge part of, my upbringing, right? But let's talk about Puerto Ricans. Let's talk about J-Lo, right? A lot of people don't know. J-Lo started off as a fly girl. And if you're too young, you don't know about In Living Color. You don't know about J-Lo being a fly girl. And a fly girl, she was a hip-hop dancer, Puerto Rican, right? She was running with Diddy, like she's running with Black Americans. You had when Fat Joe and Pun's one of my favorite rappers, but he's over here at Remy. You always have Puerto Ricans and Black Americans collaborating uptown. We have a long history of it. But from the beginning of hip-hop, some of the best breakers were Puerto Ricans. Crazy Legs, and I actually meant to bring this book. I wanted to show you guys. I'll take a picture of it and post it on my Instagram. But I wanted to show you because I do have a lot of books, and books are important. And that's why so many people are so goddamn stupid, because they don't fucking read books, okay? But there's a book that I remember I read it in college, okay? And I went to the University of Delaware, but I took a hip-hop literacy class. And there was a book called From Bomba to Hip-Hop. And it was written by a Nuyoricans professor at Hunter College, right? And bomba is an Afro-Puerto Rican music and dance form. Back when I took this class in college, this might have been like 2002, I didn't know anything about bomba. It wasn't until 2006, 2007 that I started to learn about bomba, which is an Afro-Puerto Rican style, okay? And when you look at this, there's different styles in different parts of Puerto Rico. But I've watched for years some of the best bomba dancers in New York, some of the best bomba dancers in Puerto Rico, and some of the best bomba dancers that may come from other places that are, Puerto Rican. I've watched for years. And the way that, and I remember back then I used to film a lot of stuff. I don't know if I even have a lot of that footage because I've lost things on laptops. I might have to look through old hard drives. But there was a time when I was really documenting because I felt like there was something really dope going on in New York. A lot of people did not know about this bomba scene. A lot of Puerto Ricans don't know about it, right? But there were some amazing musicians and some amazing dancers. And the way that the dudes danced, a lot of times it reminded me straight of breaking, okay? Like a lot of people say breakdance is similar to capoeira. Capoeira is from Brazil, all right? Capoeira comes from Afro-Brazilians. You could say that capoeira is like the floor work they do. But that top work that was perfected by Nuyoricans, okay? They were the masters of that shit. Crazy Legs. He was a Nuyorican, and the shit he did with his legs. If you watch Afro-Puerto Rican bomba, the men do a lot of that stuff. The same kind of leg work. So when I see it, I can definitely see the Puerto Rican influence on breaking. And that top work, okay? Breaking came from the boogie down, from the Bronx, okay? So then you have some of the best graph artists, okay, were Puerto Ricans, Nuyoricans. So it makes me beyond annoyed when I see people acting like that's not true. First of all, one of the things that makes New York very unique and different than the rest of the United States is that, to me, it's like the only city I can think of in America. Maybe the Bay Area may be an exception, I don't know. But it's the only place where blacks and Hispanics, and I put that term Hispanics because Hispanics are a lot of different things. Hispanics are not one homogenous group. Every single country, whether it's Puerto Rico, DR, Cuba, Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala, like Mexico, they all speak different Spanish. They listen to different music. They eat different food. Okay, so it's different. So you want to be specific about what we're speaking about. But I'll say that black and the Hispanic population is different in different cities. In Miami, it's a lot of racist white Cubans, okay? There's other things too, but the racist white Cubans are dominant. In New York, Puerto Ricans and Dominicans are dominant, but we have Colombians, we have Mexicans, we have, a lot of other things, but Puerto Ricans and Dominicans are dominant. When you are in Cali, it's going to be Mexicans. Chicago, Mexicans. Also, Chicago has a lot of Colombians, and Chicago has the second largest population of Puerto Ricans outside of Puerto Rico. And let me say that Chicago Puerto Ricans are nothing at all like New York Puerto Ricans, okay? They're nothing at all like them. It's a certain swag that Nuyoricans have that other Puerto Ricans don't have. No offense, but it's just true, okay? So let me say that New York is the only city where blacks and Hispanics are not at war with each other. In Chicago, there's a problem. In LA, there's a problem. In Miami, there's a problem. I know black Americans who live in parts of Texas, and they're talking about how the Mexicans treat them bad. It's just like, to me, being from New York, that's foreign for blacks and Hispanics not to get along and be having all these problems. So I think you have a lot of black people from other parts of the country who just don't even understand that blacks and Hispanics were even ever cool when that's ever even possible. And so they automatically just dismiss the fact that Nuyoricans were definitely involved in hip-hop from the beginning. And there's too much history out there to be reciting ignorant bullshit. And it annoys me in this age of like smartphones and Google how stupid people are. Like, people don't know how to research. People don't know how to read. People don't know how to fact check when the shit is right fucking there. So enough of the bullshit, because let me tell you something. New York wouldn't have the swag that it has if it wasn't for Puerto Ricans. Okay, Nuyoricans bring a lot of flavor to our city. You know, I mean, everybody does, but I'm just saying it's a unique element. And Nuyoricans have for sure been a part of it from the beginning. Also, it annoys me too when I hear people trying to say, oh, New York fell off. It's so funny to me. I've always felt like a lot of people have an inferiority complex when it comes to New York, right? I constantly see people talking shit about New York. Like, just a couple of months ago, right before Glorilla dropped her song with Cardi, I followed this Instagram page, Unapologetically Memphis. And they had posted this post with Ice Spice and Glorilla. And they were making fun of Ice Spice. And they were talking about how Glorilla was so much more talented than her and da-da-da, which I don't agree with that, right? I mean, Glorilla's cute, but I wouldn't say that she's more talented. But I don't know, they were trying to shit on Ice Spice. And I can't remember what it was they said, but they made some comment that just made it seem like, you know, New York rappers were whack or some shit. And had fallen off and da-da-da-da. And so I said to them, you know, like, every time I see people say that, I'm like, all of the legends, New York has so many legends. And every borough does. Brooklyn does, Queens does, Manhattan does, and the Bronx does, and Staten Island does, okay? Even when people talk about, oh, Atlanta took over hip-hop, Atlanta never had a female rapper that was worth a shit. So you can't start telling me that, you can't start claiming that you were the hip-hop capital when you don't have any female rappers that are worth the shit. Because first of all, the Brat is from Chicago. Secondly, I love TLC, but they weren't like the best rappers. Second of all, when people make lists of like their top 10, it'd be full of New York rappers. A lot of times people's top 4. Okay? Now, I love Andre 3000. Okay? I love Ludacris. Okay? I like them both. And Lil Wayne, who's from New Orleans, is one of my favorite rappers. So I'm not saying that Southern rappers aren't good or whatever. But I'm saying the sheer number of legends and legends from New York who could still do some shit. People will still go see Nas. People will still go see Method Man. People will still go see Busta Rhymes. People will go, you know, still go see Wu-Tang. I mean, still people will go see Jay-Z. I mean, there's so many, you know, still. You know what I'm saying? Still. So, and then you have Nicki right now. You got Cardi right now, you know. So now you have, you know, Glorilla, who is out of Memphis. And so, but I remember getting into this thing with them because they were trying to shit on New York. And then a couple days later, she drops this song with Cardi. And of course, Glorilla was doing her thing before that song with Cardi because otherwise Cardi would never worked with her. But I feel like that song that she dropped with Cardi took her to the next level. Okay? Took her to the next level. Because a lot of times, New York puts their stamps on shit. Okay? And that's just true. And it's like, to me, you can't disrespect the people that invented the shit. It's like, I love New Orleans second line. I love New Orleans. New Orleans second line is a specific type of music and dance that comes from New Orleans that is off the chain. Okay? Off the chain. If you don't know about it, like, you can't even hardly find it on YouTube. You need to be in New Orleans to experience it. But if other cities started to make second lines, if Miami started doing it, and Atlanta, and Tennessee, and New York, and Jersey all started making second lines, right? Other countries in the Caribbean, whatever, started making second lines. Most likely, it wouldn't be as good as the shit from New Orleans. And people from New Orleans are going to be critical about it because you're doing some shit that they invented they're going to look at it with a critical eye. They may not like how you're doing it. But you can't imitate some shit that is uniquely New Orleans, okay? Second line. You can't create a second line band and start getting so big headed just because you got some fans that you think you're better than the people that started the shit. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like New Yorkers are very respectful to the world. We birthed hip hop. Hip hop is the biggest art form that has ever been created. There's no art form that has spanned so many generations all across the world. New York invented that shit. But the level of disrespect, how people like to talk, as if New York is not significant, and New York this and New York that. It's like, first of all, shut all your dusty asses down. Because there are, good rappers from everywhere, okay? But New York has the longest roster, okay? Then and now. Okay, that's number one. But, yeah, I mean, people just need to, and also, I was talking about J-Lo being a fly girl, and she's a Puerto Rican from the Bronx. She was on to the hip-hop shit. If you follow me, you see I'm always dancing to salsa music. Actually, I like a lot of Afro-Latin music. I love good salsa music, but I also love, I'll dance to merengue, I'll dance to Afro-Colombian champeta, I dance to Afro-Cuban rumba, timba. There's a lot of different Afro-Latin things that I'm into, but salsa's number one on top of my list. And a lot of Black Americans from Harlem, we dance salsa. And the Puerto Ricans from Harlem, they listen to hip-hop. And it's like we both invented it. Black Americans also were part of the invention of salsa music in New York. So salsa music was a collaboration of Black American musicians, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Latin jazz, boogaloo, hip-hop. Okay? So there's a long history. Just look this shit up. There are so many books and academic papers written about this long history of Black Americans and Nuyoricans, Puerto Ricans collaborating together in New York City. Enough of the dumb shit. Enough of the disrespect. Jesus. Okay, so I just had to make that clear. For any of you who didn't know that Nuyoricans, Puerto Ricans, not Dominicans, not Colombians, not Mexicans, not Hondurans, not Ecuadorians, not Peruvians, okay, Puerto Ricans, Nuyoricans were involved in hip-hop from the very beginning of the shit, the invention of it. Yes, they were. Look it up. Read something. Research. There's no excuse for being stupid in 2023. Okay? All right. So I'm done. I hope you guys have a good night. Bye.